To catch the podcast live, tune into twitch.tv/Omnicadia at 2 p.m. BST on Fridays.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, it is our podcast episode 2. We are here again, once again talking about the gaming and podcast stuffs. We're going to be talking about different topics today. We have set up a couple of news stories that we've just picked up on that we're going to delve into and talk about general sense of gaming. So today we have myself, and we have our co-host, who's going to be acting as our host today, because I'm very tired. It's WoofieIsMe. Hello, Woofie.
Hello, hello, hello.
And
What's
how
up?
are you? How are you today?
Yes, moving on. Good. I'm doing well. Got some sleep. Had a nice dinner.
You did better than me.
It's good.
You did better than me. I didn't get very much sleep, and
I got like 11 hours sleep.
I'm
So,
suffering.
I'm happy. Yeah, you sound it.
I sound suffering today.
To move away from your suffering for a moment, to introduce the other panelists that's here tonight, because it's just the three of us, we have Zephyr.
Hello! Welcome to our amazing YouTube Let's Play. Smash that like button, hit the notifications bell. Do all
Vimeo,
that-
come on! We're
Vimeo!
on Vimeo!
Oh, we're gonna be. We're not
where
gonna be friends,
the
man.
naughty things are.
Daily
we're not
You
motion.
can
gonna
get
be
away
friends.
with it.
Oh. But yeah, anyway, I'm Zephyr.
Hi, Zephyr. How are you doing today?
I am hopefully in One Piece, I believe. Yeah. Wait, looking up. but-
Hang on. You believe?
Hopefully.
Zephyr, have you seen a mirror today or something?
I've only seen your mirror.
Oh.
Oh, well.
Okay.
Well then.
Well then.
Well.
Well.
That happened.
It did indeed, Cal. It did indeed. So what have we all been playing this week? What have we been doing? What's been shaking?
Calyx, we'll start with you. Since you
I've been
introduced
doing a
yourself
lot of
first.
Minecraft as my main thing this week. Doing the Omnicadia community server, building that up, building the town. It's looking pretty nice. I've had good times. We'll be opening that up to the public pretty soon. And the other thing that I did was I've just started last night playing Watch Dogs 2 for the first time. So that's exciting. I'm really enjoying
How
that
are you
game.
finding that?
I'm really getting into it. I'm not far in. I'm about 2 or 3 hours in. But I am a really slow gamer, so it takes me a while. But
Unless it's Spyro.
unless it's Spyro, games take me a while, so I'm still relatively early in, and I am enjoying it. The open world aspect of that game kind of feels like GTA, but I can't go around and just like shooting shit up. So I'm a bit sad by that, but I really like the hacking thing. It's
Fair.
got some good mechanics to it, and it's an interesting title, and it's making me excited for Watch Dogs Legion, and I'm so looking forward to that.
I was going to say, does that have a release date yet or not?
Currently, it's slated for 2020. It was delayed indefinitely until they come up with another time. The original release date was supposed to be March 6th,
Ah, right, yeah, that's right.
but
Cool,
we don't actually know when that's going live now. We're just waiting for the news.
Probably next year, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Probably,
Yeah.
which is quite
And
sad.
Zephyr, it is pretty sad. Zephyr, what have you been playing and doing this week?
I have been playing 2 games. I've been playing Dragon's Prophet, as you can probably tell. I'm still
No way.
I'm still logged into it right now. And I finished Tales of Berseria this week, and it was amazing. I think it's my favorite Tales game. I've only played 3 Tales games, so it's not hard for that to happen. But
So it's the cream of the crop out of the trilogy you've played.
yeah. So I'll just talk about it very briefly without spoilers. But never before have I played an RPG where both the hero and the villain's motivations are so morally grey that you don't know who you want to root for.
It's
You want to root the good-looking one.
the good-looking one. Yeah, that's how those types of games work, right? You just pick.
I mean, it's anime, so
Oh,
the
it's
hottest.
incredibly anime.
Pick the hottest one.
Yeah.
the,
But
do you want to pick the hardest one, Cal?
oh.
Moving on.
Okay. Right, Woofie,
Ooh.
what have you been playing?
I have been playing my time at Porsche. I've been playing a lot of that. Loving it still.
I'm glad you're enjoying that.
Yeah, it's so good.
Such a good game,
I've
isn't
been-
it?
I've been looking for a game that is a massive time sink, but is very chill. Like, you've got games like not Dragon Hunter, fucking Monster Hunter. That are very high octane, but they're a grind to get through.
Yeah.
And I played Harvest Moon back in the day, and I did not enjoy that. I do enjoy how Porsche has those dungeon crawling aspects to it. I like that a lot.
The dungeon crawling in that game is pretty exciting. I really enjoy the
It
dungeons.
is.
It's
Um,
a unique type of dungeon crawling as well. It's kind of reminiscent of Maple Story in some aspects. If you've ever
Yeah.
played Maple Story,
I never touched. That was after my time, dude.
I do have
Very
a
good
question
game.
though.
What's up,
So Woofie, have you played Stardew Valley?
I haven't. I own it. I haven't
Oh.
played it yet.
See,
But from what I've seen, it's like Porsche is like a 3D version of
yeah.
Stardew.
I was actually going to ask because I wanted to know what the differences between the dungeon crawling was, because Stardew Valley had like a very simple dungeon crawling thing where you had like 2 dungeons to look through, and then there was like a forest, and that was about it.
Give me 2 weeks, and I'll get back to you on that.
when you dive deeper into it, huh?
I've got plans regarding Stardew. So
I 100% recommend that game. By the way, it is such a good game. If you like Porsche, you will like that game. I know some
Stardew
people
isn't
don't like.
one that I've played before.
I know some people get put off because it's not a 3D game, but it is a very good non-3D game.
if it's pretty, I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
I
very
agree with
superficial
that.
like that.
I do like pretty art styles. To be fair, it kind of fantasy-esque, but not taking itself too seriously, in my opinion. For like
Like
You mean
Art
going
style.
to
light fantasy.
low? They call it low fantasy. There's high fantasy and low fantasy. High fantasy is like elves, unicorns, wizards, and low fantasy is like you might occasionally find a wizard, but he's like not huge. There's not like prevalent magic or anything. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I do prefer the low fantasy to high fantasy settings. High fantasy. I'm gonna go back to what I was playing this week after this little comment. Yeah, high fantasy seems very hard to get into because of all the lore regarding stuff.
yeah.
It can be hard to process so many like glossary terms. I think Final Fantasy 13 kind of like puts that foot forward and like there's all these words being thrown around. You don't know what the hell they mean, so you have to look up in a glossary, and it's terrible storytelling, but it's also an issue with where the world is so complicated.
Yeah, that's very true. That's the thing that I've always found kind of daunting about fantasy games is they come with a lot of lore and a lot of unique terms for the world, and you've got to try and battle your way through all of these weird and wonderful terms and different ways of explaining things that are relatively quite simple, but it's just like, it's really weird for me to get my head around it, to be like, yes, I like this. I have to spend a long time in fantasy type things before I can say that I like it, just because of that barrier.
I get that.
It's weird. It's an odd thing, to be perfectly honest.
I'm going to run with that thing to continue on with what I was saying before. Speaking of games that usually have high entry level, Final Fantasy.
Ooh.
I've been playing Final Fantasy
okay.
VII's remake
Let's
this
talk
week.
about Final Fantasy. All I have heard and all I have seen is the game definitely isn't the same as it was. It's definitely a remake, and the game itself, I've only seen the pre-release footage and stuff. I'm kind of staying away from it for the time being, but I am interested in it, so it would be good to have a little chat about this.
Completely understandable as to why
Yeah.
you're just taking your distance. I'm up to chapter 6 in the game at the moment. I was playing it right before the podcast.
Yep.
I'm loving every second of it. The gameplay is very interesting. So it's kind of this mix mash of real time and tactical strategy.
Right.
So you can issue commands to your fellow party members on the fly. Actual commands like spells, items,
Yeah.
attacks, while staying in control of your character. Or you could switch directly to said characters.
Oh, I didn't know there was a character switch going on.
Yeah,
for that
when you're
game.
in combat, there's a character switch mechanic. So you can play as Tifa or Barrett
Interesting.
as opposed to Cloud. Yeah, it's very different from anything else I've played or seen for that matter. But it's a good different. It's a welcomed different.
Do you find that the like the whole do you feel like the fact that the entire game is set in Shinra does the like the
I think you said
environment wear
Midgar.
on you? You know what I mean. Midgar.
Yeah.
Do you find that the whole setting wears on you a bit after a while, or is the story strong
No,
enough to?
The story carries it, and the area. So Midgar as itself is just this metal plateau, more or less, with buildings. But the areas within said plateau and the areas surrounding that, because I don't want to talk about story segments for the sake of use, because I know you want to play it at some point in the future.
Oh yeah, I'll be on it. Yeah.
Yeah, so the areas are very different that you explore. As an example for what I'm playing right now, you're underneath the plateau. And the chapter prior, I'm running in train, subway tunnels.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So, the areas within the game are different enough to not be visually boring,
Interesting.
I would say. Yeah.
I heard there's a lot more Jessie in that game. Like, a lot more Jessie.
There has... the last few chapters from the... Excluding these last two I'm doing now, chapters 1 through 4 are very Jessie heavy. Very Jessie heavy.
So,
Which isn't a bad thing. I like Jessie as a character. She's adorable.
what is your experience with the franchise separate to this particular title?
I have played 15 up until
Mhm.
like chapter 7. I would have continued playing, but I had to reformat my PlayStation.
Oof. Oof.
But
That's pain.
I'll be returning to that at some point in the future. And I've played a little bit of 10.
Right. Okay. So
Outside of that...
little limited.
So you-
Oh, and Advent Children.
So you've
I
still
do
got
know-
plenty of Final Fantasy to explore.
Fine.
Indeed I do.
Yeah. Yes. There's a lot. There's
There's
a lot.
yeah.
As
There's
a tangent, Sorry, you finish.
There's quite a number of good, like, Final Fantasy games out there that you haven't played yet, so I'm just letting you know that.
There's a lot.
Well, they're all readily available on nearly every console now, anyway.
Exactly, yeah.
The other little thing I want to note is that I find it funny that Final Fantasy VII has all this expanded media, Advent Children, various different films and such, and spin-off games, and then Final Fantasy 15 also went through and had this expansive blowout of media.
Oh yeah, you can't forget the cup noodles ad thing.
Oh yeah,
that's
my favourite piece of DLC. What are you talking about? It's my favourite piece. I like Noctis running around with the massive noodle cup head.
The funny thing is they're not doing it quite as obviously with Final Fantasy VII, but in the UK they're doing an ad campaign on our noodles with fucking Final Fantasy 14, Final Fantasy 7, and it's got yeah. So they are still doing it.
I haven't seen this at all.
They're on
need to see this at some
they're
point.
on the Bachelor's ready-made noodles.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, if you can get hold of them, because they started coming out when the panic buying started, and that's one of the things people were panic buying. So yeah, they're hard to get.
Final Fantasy VII noodles going for £1,000.
Yeah,
quite likely. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. That's probably existing.
I'll actually find a picture of them.
Please do. I want to see this.
Yeah, I would also like to see this.
I saw them on Tesco's and I couldn't. Well, I could order them, but I couldn't get home delivery on them, which sucked.
Yeah.
And the other game I'll be playing this week is Hades by Supergiant Games.
Oh,
and how
what's
is
that game
one?
like?
It is really good. So it's an isometric roguelike dungeon, randomly generated dungeon crawler, with deep roots in Greek mythology. It is really good. And it's in early access, so it's in active development. The latest update, the 90-night update, came out like a month ago.
Oh,
and
nice.
they've got another one coming out. Yeah, they've got another one coming out in June, I believe, and they're ramping up for a full release just after that one, from what I've seen from the development map.
Yeah, so as a person who's never played Hades, what's the gameplay like? What's the graphic style? Is it 2D, 3D?
2D isometric.
And what would you compare it to in terms of gameplay? I know some people don't like it when you compare games to games, but one easy way to understand a game is obviously to compare
I'd say
one.
Bastion, if you've played that, which is
I
another
know
Supergiant game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very similar to Bastion.
Okay.
In that, Hades seems like an amalgamation of all these different ideas that Supergiant have had in all their games. Bastion, Transistor, and Pyre. And it's all their best ideas have just been smushed into one.
I think I remember Bastion, because there was that game with the little cute boy, and it's like, oh, that's a cute boy, and then he like talks like a grown-ass man, and it's
that's
like...
not him talking. That's the narrator.
Oh, okay. For some reason I associated that voice with it.
And here's the kid. Yeah. That kind of voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I get very lost when we go on tangents like this, because I am such a noob gamer. So when we're talking about titles like Hades, which isn't necessarily on my radar very much, I just get completely lost.
This is typically why this is typically why I say, okay, Woofie, what would you compare this game to, so then people can understand.
Diablo, I'd say.
Yeah.
As well.
There you go.
Now, talking about Diablo, going on a tangent here, I might have found...
Already on a tangent, but sure.
I might have found... Yeah, we are a little bit.
Tangentception here.
I found 3 hours of the beta gameplay for Minecraft Dungeons, and I might be getting closer and closer to losing my soul to that game.
I mean, I've already pre-ordered it, so I don't know what you're talking about.
What makes Minecraft Dungeons different from Minecraft? I know it's got dungeons in it and it's more dungeon focused, but what actually makes it stand out? What?
It's just a dungeon crawler, more or less.
So it's like a roguelike then?
It's Diablo in Minecraft, essentially. It's a Diablo game, just in the Minecraft universe and that sort of thing. The story I won't get into here, just yet because spoilers.
Yeah, I don't want to know.
But the story is a very interesting way of putting forward the Minecraft world in a different format to how you would normally see, which is very reminiscent of storylines that have come out from Diablo and what's the other one called? Can't think right now.
Is another...
It's very similar to Diablo, but I don't remember what it was called. But
oh god, I want to say StarCraft, but that's not it.
No, not quite. I can't think right now of what it actually is called.
I'm thinking Ultima, but again, that's also not it.
I'll have to dive into the Googles and get a comparison ready for next week's podcast, and we can do a comparison between Minecraft Dungeons and games like Diablo, and we can talk a little bit more in depth of how it works in that universe. But essentially, I've seen it, and my brain has exploded, and I'm too excited to hold in my incredible levels of hype right now.
Keep it in.
It's a problem. It really is a problem.
Yeah. To bring it back to Hades, the thing that probably would have put it on your map, Cal, was it was one of the first early access games available on Epic.
Interesting. I didn't get onto Epic until a little bit later down the road. I got onto Epic when they started doing the free games. So I checked that every now.
They did that basically in the first week of them going live, though.
Okay, interesting. I didn't know about it until a little bit of time after. But then there was the whole, oh, Epic bad, no, stay away from that. We don't want to touch Epic. Kind of.
I mean, I still don't touch Epic. I still don't touch it.
I claimed the free games because free is a good number.
And you're a dirty stinkin'. I don't need to finish that sentence.
A little bit, yeah. A little bit.
You know what you are.
I know I am. 100%.
But yeah, no, the Epic Store went live, and the day later, Hades went live.
Right, okay.
And then a year later, it was available on Steam. Which is when I picked it up. Well, no, I picked it up a few months later. Like, in the last 2 weeks, I picked it up. But, yeah, I picked it up on Steam. Because I love my Steam, and I'm not splitting up my game library again. I'm already stuck between GOG.
Yeah, I already
Steam.
used GOG, and I'm like, I don't want anything else.
Before we move away from that particular topic, in terms of game libraries and that sort of stuff being split apart, we're going to touch on this a little bit better next week, because we're going to be talking about the console wars and that sort of thing, as our main...
That's gonna be a poison topic.
Our main topics.
Yeah. Fuck Sega, am I right?
Yeah, no, right?
How fucking dare you! Nintendo sucks.
So we're gonna
They didn't put dough in their name for no reason.
We're gonna be touching on this, but we've also got the fact of the matter that as we go into a new generation, we're getting these services happening. We kind of touched on it last time, but what is your point of view in terms of digital and physical release, and what is your point of view on all the different digital clients that we have?
I think the amount of clients we have is stupid. It's basically a lot of services trying to be the next Steam, which I think Epic is trying the hardest right now. I think they're the closest on the level, mostly because of Fortnite population and all that.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
But
I do agree with that as well.
I think it's been spurred, and this is this is Valve's fault, because Valve takes a 30% cut from their sales. So companies are like, okay, we're gonna have our own storefront, we're gonna release our games on there instead, and we get 100% of the revenue instead. Or Epic Store, they get, 90% of the revenue instead? And
something.
yeah, it's where more money is what they're after. And that only makes sense, because they're businesses at the end of the day.
I mean, I'm fine with other... It is ridiculous how certain developers or publishers have their own, i.e. Bethesda and Ubisoft.
And Rockstar
I find that a little bit ridiculous.
And Origin for EA
Yeah, all
games.
those ones. But stores like Epic and Steam, they're offering other games from other developers. I feel like that there's room for both of those two in there. However, having timed exclusives on each platform is stupid.
It is. 100% is.
Yeah, you've got to have your app killers. You've got to have your store killers. So Steam obviously have their Valve-developed games. Epic have their Epic-developed games. And any deals they strike with any developers be like, hey, this game stays on our platform. It doesn't move anywhere else on PC.
I mean,
I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with first-party games, but third-party games is where I'm like, ooh, yikes.
Unless they own the developer.
I think, what was it? It was
Obsidian owning Xbox owning Obsidian, PlayStation owning Naughty Dog, for example.
Yeah. It's like, was it
Which
Rise
would
of the
be a
Tomb
first
Raider was
party.
the worst one? Because Rise of the Tomb Raider went on Xbox exclusive, and that
did.
game, like, the game series, I know it came out on the Saturn when Tomb Raider 1 came out ages and ages and ages ago, but, like, Tomb Raider 1 was known for, when it came out, for being the system seller of the PS1 alongside, like, Crash and all that.
Yeah, it was definitely
yeah.
a mainline Sony thing for PlayStation.
So people got, well, the OG got real super triggered, including myself, when
I mean, at least
yeah.
we got the 20th anniversary on PlayStation that had all the DLC released.
Exactly, yeah.
And some of them had a neat little art book included.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Digital always gives that risk of losing your titles when the service shuts down, if it shuts down.
Nintendo is out and out the worst offender, because they'll just shut down the storefront and prevent you downloading their games. So far, I think Sony's been the best one about it. I say so far, in case they change their mind. So they did shut down the storefront for PSP a long way back now. But you can still download your PSP games online through their website, and you can still put them on your PSP. So anything that you've bought, you haven't lost. Yeah, that's how
I didn't
it goes.
know that. That's
Yeah.
quite interesting to actually have in my brain box.
The more you know. But yeah.
More you
I always prefer physical media, as
Yes.
most of us know.
Yeah.
Just because I like the look of a collection on a shelf. I love the look of that, but not only that, I like having the physical games with me. So if I want to play them, all I have to do is install them, and I'm good to go.
Yeah, whenever I can buy physical, I will always buy physical.
Yeah.
That's how I've always been. It's nice owning something, like, having, like, friends to, like, share your real physical collection to, and that it stays with you for the rest of time, pretty much.
One of my prized, one of the ones I really like that I own is Okami and Hollow Knight.
Okami. Yeah, Okami is going to be the next game I run with. But yeah, I have Okami on PS2 and PC, and I prefer the PS2 version, honestly, because it's, it's a better frame rate, and they didn't take out the music at the end credits. Apparently they took that out of the PC version. I mean, you could mod it back in, but...
Of Okami?
Yeah, of Okami.
Oh. They might have done the same for the HD collection, I'm not sure yet. I haven't finished it yet, so...
Yeah, apparently the music is different for the end of the HD collection, for whatever reason.
Probably rights attaining to the original composer.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's the case. Speaking of which,
licensing.
If we're talking about physical games, what was the last physical game you bought, everyone?
Spyro Reignited Trilogy.
Very nice. Woofie?
Really?
Yeah.
Uncharted... No! Last physical game I got was Final Fantasy VII. Last one I bought was Uncharted 4 and The Lost Legacy.
Yeah. Last physical game I got was Trails of Cold Steel 3, which was all the way back when I bought my PS4. I bought PS4 just for that reason, to play that game. Now it's out on PC, apparently, but that's okay. I wasn't willing to wait for that game.
I mean, fair. The first game I got for PS4 was Dishonored 2.
Nice.
I pre-ordered the collector's edition for that. I still haven't finished it.
That is our story when it comes to a lot of games, Woofie. That's the sad reality.
Like, I started it, and then I started playing Doom.
Oh,
So-
I mean, Doom will do that too. What is it? Like, some people have already demolished that game already, apparently. I saw someone play it last night. I'm not gonna lie, after being on a kind of like retro Doom-esque kick with like Hexen and Heretic and all that, I kind of want to play Doom Eternal. I'm not gonna lie.
It's so good.
You
It
should
looks
give it a
hella
go.
smooth.
You should give it a go. I
Yeah.
know you're not one for shooters very much, but it's definitely a game that should be experienced. To be
I can
perfectly honest.
recommend
Even if you
one.
play it on like lower difficulties, it's still a good game.
I can recommend one shooter game that I want to go back to, and I've never really talked about it here or anywhere else. Have you heard of Unreal?
Tournament? Or just Unreal in general?
Just Unreal in general. So there's Unreal.
I've played that, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, Unreal 2 is a pretty good game from what I remember it being, and it kind of reminds me of Halo a little bit. I feel like
A little bit.
I don't know. But I had a really good time with that game, and I'm tempted to like looking into playing that again at some point. I never finished that game.
Talking about Unreal and to that realm, I recently, as last night, I've downloaded Unreal Tournament.
If you want your mind blown about Unreal Tournament, this might be information you already know, but for people listening, Unreal Tournament was one of the first games Digital Extremes worked on, and if you don't know who they run Warframe at the moment.
Yeah, they are too.
Yes.
They were too. Holy shit.
Yep.
It was like that whole Raven connection I made the other day, who did Hexen, who were also working on the latest Call of Duty
Yeah.
title before I just dropped scissors again. I should stop that. Before Treyarch came on board to take over.
Yeah. That's what are our topics today, guys? We're very off tangent. What is...
Oh, tangents are always good fun.
We've gone
They
on
are.
a 40-minute tangent in our introduction today.
I mean, it happened
It's a
last
good conversation,
episode, so...
though. It's a
It
good
is
conversation.
good,
We're
good
enjoying it.
combo.
So, first topic of tonight is Counter-Strike Pro was jailed for 116 years.
Oh, it's a
for
she.
Some...
It is
It's a she. Yeah.
Yes. Her name is Shay Victorio, and she has made her name on a Brazilian Counter-Strike circuit.
Yeah. She ran an online store between 2013 and 2017, and her sentence was due to the charge that 118 customers did not receive the goods they purchased.
I mean,
So
let's just
I
talk
mean-
about this sentencing for a moment, because I feel
Wait,
Let's
did
unpack
they
this.
sentence her 1 year for every customer she didn't do
Pretty much.
plus 1 year? Oh my god!
pretty
Does
much.
that-
Yeah.
what?
It's quite insane how much she's received in her sentence. At the moment,
However-
she's mid-appeal, I believe.
I was going to say, however, if she were to actually be sentenced to this, she'd only have to serve 30, as that is the maximum penalty in Brazil.
Oh, okay. I didn't
The
know
maximum
that.
penalty someone can be jailed, I should specify that.
Yeah, maximum jail time.
Her lawyer has said that the company that she was a part of has made over 10,000 successful purchases, sales and deliveries. So, I mean, this is a weird story.
This is a weird story. It's quite an interesting story. Just the sentencing as well. Like, if you think about it in real terms, that is
Hey,
harsh.
you killed a guy.
Yeah,
You killed a guy. You get 25 years. You did not deliver on my goddamn underwear. How dare you? 116 years to you.
it's quite incredible how much she was sentenced to. It's gonna be interesting to see where this story goes. And,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure what kind of online store she ran, so I'm assuming it's clothing.
It may have been like Merc or something like that. Because if
Yeah.
she was a professional streamer, then yeah. Well,
She wasn't a streamer. She was a esports
esports
personality.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
she did delve into the streaming scene while she was in the circuit, but it seems that now she is no longer doing very much on the online worlds. To be perfectly honest, from what I've seen from the stories, she seems to have just dropped off the face of the planet.
You know why
Due
that
to
is,
this.
Cal.
It's
I was going to say, because of this situation.
it's quite incredible to get that much time put against her, and I wouldn't want to be her to be facing that much.
Those kind of charges.
Well, it's
I mean,
it's
just
a
give them
relatively
the
simple-
goods, and then yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, you
that is
shouldn't
true.
take money and not give what you're supposed to do. That's not right. I still think the length of it is way too long though. Like for someone murdering someone, that should always be, well, not an exchange of life. I don't believe in death penalty, but someone should, they should just stay in jail forever, pretty much.
it's
Like a life sentence?
Yeah.
it's an interesting topic.
I say life sentence, but when you say life sentence in the UK, life sentence in the UK is like 10 years, and then you
Yeah.
could maybe get out in 4.
Yeah,
What the hell's kind of life is that?
just don't question.
I
that.
don't know, just UK things.
Moving on.
Okay, sure. Second story we found, which is, again, quite the, these are all very interesting topics, I'm not gonna lie. Dead or Alive Extreme 3 gets an extremely not safe for work glitch.
Right, be careful here, cause with the choice of words, because
I'm
Twitch
gonna
is
be
watching.
very careful.
Okay.
So, Dead or Alive Extreme 3 recently had a VR mode released, right?
yeah.
For PS
There,
VR.
for PlayStation VR, I should specify this. There is a glitch wherein if you hold your head underwater, the clothes of the models disappear.
Go on, proof.
Okay. So the
Complete-
reason why that is, I'll talk about the technical aspect of that. I can't believe I'm talking about this, but so the technical aspect of this is usually when a person makes a skimpy model of a character. This is true for some games. Well, actually, I don't know if Daggerfall did this, but
Like
know-
Elder Scrolls Daggerfall?
yeah, but they would have like nude models of characters, and then like they would put clothes on them afterwards. If you
Right,
know what
so
I mean? Yeah.
I want to
yeah.
interject here quickly,
Yeah.
right? Because I've seen the video, and the areas where you'd think they'd be modelled aren't modelled. So there's no... how do I explain this? So you see up until basically the clothesline on the underwear, and as for the top, you don't see any nips. So you see everything around the nips, but no nips. Right? There's a missing texture. You can see through the nips.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
I follow.
not necessarily as if the clothes are treated as a second item on the model. It seems that the clothes are baked into the models, so the model is not fully atomically correct.
Yeah. Think of Barbie,
Okay, so it's just like a doll.
more or less,
doll
but
modeling.
the
Yeah.
bits aren't rendered.
Yeah,
Okay. So how is that an extremely not safe for work glitch then?
I think it's
Because of
more
the suggestiveness of it, I guess.
Yeah, Dead or Alive
Oh.
is one of the
yeah,
games.
instead of yeah, I mean
Yeah.
Dead or Alive is that game where it's got like the full jiggles. And,
Yeah.
They had a
okay.
spin-off for beach volleyball, for argument's sake. Like,
They very
Come
much
on.
did. That's pretty much why this story is making headlines. Is not
Yeah.
so much the glitch, it's the
game.
the
Implications.
nature of the game. Yeah.
yeah, and the nature of how people have been using the game rather than what it is intended for.
You're missing the important part of this article where it says, this also seems to make characters have shaved heads, which is somewhat similar
No,
to...
that was a previous game, not that
Ah,
Yeah,
damn.
that was the
I
previous.
was like, I was hoping that it'd end up being a case where they're just like dolls with no
Yeah.
hair, and it's really creepy.
It's just, unfortunately, due to the nature of this particular glitch, all of the
Yeah.
videos that have gone up are slowly being nuked to oblivion.
Yeah, I noticed that because there's not a single one I can watch. Not that I would, not that I would, but
It's interesting
you know.
to see what
But
the glitch
Zephyr, it's
actually
research.
But
is.
I would have people severely question certain things about me if I was perusing through that. I'm just letting you know.
It's an interesting one, to be perfectly
Oh, yeah.
honest. Overall,
Definitely.
it's unique.
I mean, like, if it was something like Resident Evil Not Safe for Work glitch, no one would give a shit.
Yeah, it's more of the
You know.
nature. Well, actually, they probably would, due to the fact of the game being quite high in headlines currently and whatnot. It's
Okay, Spyro Not Safe for Work
there you
glitch
go.
found.
There you go. That wouldn't be.
I
big.
dread to think what that would. No, actually, that would make headlines just because of the weird nature of the headline.
I mean it's like that like bot Reddit. I can't remember what it's called, but it's an entire Reddit that's just robots regurgitating like stuff that's been like neural learnt from Reddit, and they make posts that seem like Reddit posts, but they're all posted by bots, and all the comments are by bots, and it's really, really strange. When I figured out what it's called, I'll share. But
Please do. I want to know what this is. I want to know what this is.
Yeah,
Moving on to the next story. Unless anyone else has something else to comment on.
No. Do we want to jump into our segments from you guys today?
Yeah.
We will after this one that was brought to my attention
You
very
want to-
recently.
Okay, we want to
The
bring that up.
Cyberpunk one.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. So CDP, which was originally founded a part of CD Projekt Red, has gone under. They are the distributor. They were meant to be the distributor for Cyberpunk 2077.
In Europe, I believe.
I think it was Norway. No, not Norway.
Well,
Poland.
it's the Polish distributor, but I believe they were also doing more of Europe. So that's quite interesting that this has popped up.
Yeah, no, here we go. CDP parted ways, so it's likely that the team will need to find a new distributor for its home country. So it's only for where
It's
CD
only
Projekt
for-
Red are located.
Right, okay. So it's only for
Yeah,
Poland itself.
yeah, as opposed to the entirety of Europe.
See, this story is very interesting because we've just had a bout of delays, which we talked about last time.
Cyberpunk is not coming out this year. I'm just gonna say that right now. Cyberpunk's
at
not
least
coming
not
out
in
this year.
Poland.
Yeah,
At
it's
least
not.
not in Poland.
Yeah, it's no. I any game that's supposed to come out this year, I don't think is happening this year, unless they're crazy. I think some are gonna rush it before Christmas because recouping funds and whatnot. But I think Cyberpunk is gonna be that game where they make the conscious decision to like fully delay it because I think it would be worth doing.
I just want to interject here. I can see Cyberpunk releasing this year because the only thing they're doing right now is just polishing. That's the only thing they're doing right now. They put on record that the game's done. It's just polish at this point.
I can also see it releasing due to the fact that the game has been delayed twice now since its original slate.
How many times was The Witcher delayed? It's been a while, so I don't remember. I know it was delayed quite significantly, though.
I think it was delayed once, but it was given such a large delay window that they could work on it.
Yeah.
Whereas this has been given, I think, 9 months worth of delays from the first one and the second one combined.
Yeah.
Please correct me if I'm wrong there, Cal.
Sorry, I was typing. Just repeat that last section.
I said Cyberpunk's had like 9 months of delays total.
I believe
Something
so,
like that.
yes. It's
Yeah, Witcher was, I think, delayed by an entire year.
It's quite painful
Yeah.
for Cyberpunk to take that much of a delay for CD Projekt Red, and I feel that they need to get the game out.
Especially since they announced the game in the works
Yeah.
prior to The Witcher 3 coming out, that they had a whole cinematic and everything.
It's been a very long time since development started. It's been a very long time since the first announcements of the game in its entirety, and it's been delayed twice. So they
Also, nice little tidbit here, they've had the same logo since its first announcement,
have, yes.
which is weird considering most games change their logos up until launch.
They do tweak, yes. It's very odd for a developer to stick to their guns the way that they have. But there has been development issues. The game was stripped down from its original plan, and we're going to see the game release in a different format to how it was envisioned. It's going to be very interesting to see what CD Projekt Red actually end up doing with Cyberpunk, and what state it will release in, and when it will release. it's this one's definitely going to stay on my radar to watch the developments.
Yeah, when being the key point here.
When is definitely important, because at the moment I believe they're slated until September for release, and if they release September, they do get the cross-gen release, so they'll release for this generations of consoles and next generation of consoles. If they wait any longer, they would probably end up just going next gen.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree with that.
So it's
Alright.
relatively interesting.
I think that's it on that topic, on that story.
Until next week, there's more Cyberpunk news. But hey,
It's always going to be Cyberpunk news, come on. It's Cyberpunk. So, moving on to streamers' individual segments.
Right, I think I know what you're going to start with. Is it going to be Final Fantasy VII?
No.
It's actually not.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about something a little bit more important. Because Cal, in his infinite wisdom, messed up the call sheet. I will be talking about fatigue and burnout.
Okay.
We swapped it out, and I just didn't change it.
Yeah. The reason why I brought this up is because amidst everything that's going on in the world right now, I've noticed, myself included, that a lot of streamers are becoming burnt out or fatigued on what they're doing. Not only just streamers, but people in general. People are feeling lethargic, they don't really care, and
there's an
it's just
actual
a drag.
real there's a real definition for that. It's called cabin fever. And
That's the word.
It is a condition whereby pirates out to sea or whoever was sailing, where they were stuck inside for so long or restrained to the boat, it basically made them what you mentioned. And it's happening to a lot of people right now because of things, yes.
Yeah, and the general mood is that they'll either, won't do much or they'll start lashing out.
Yes.
Yes.
So, to harken back to a time prior to Redacted, what did you guys do, or what do you guys do to get over those kind of feelings?
Get over those feelings, I'd always go out somewhere. That's what I'd always do.
Which
I
is
live
the
5
problem
minutes.
right now, isn't it?
Instead of not being able to do that, though.
Yeah, you're not able
Yeah.
to do that right now, which is the problem.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I've been working on a game, so that keeps me busy, and occasionally walking around the house until I'm tired, and then yeah.
personally,
Right.
when I start feeling like that, I try to find another project to battle with, and mostly I will reach out to my streamer friends or my Discord friends and try to come up with something that we can do as a group rather than all be separated in different areas of the world and be essentially isolated. I try not to isolate. I try to get involved, try and get people to do something.
Here's a fun. I don't remember where I picked this up, and I don't know what the name for this is, but there's this psychology thing whereby you'll find something that really interests you all of a sudden, and you'll be into it, and it usually lasts about a week, and then you get bored of it, and then you kind of find something else interesting, and you just gotta find that thing that will keep you occupied for that week.
Basically a distraction tactic.
Exactly, yeah.
Hey, I really like, I don't know, books. I like books. I'm gonna read as many books as I can.
Yeah.
At
It
this
might
point
be-
in time.
It might even be something like you see something about Marvel, you're like, I'm gonna watch Marvel, and then you suddenly start binge watching all the Marvel movies in that week, and you're like, okay, I'm done with Marvel movies now.
I've done that. I've done that over the course of
Yep.
3 days.
I've
With
recently
little to no sleep.
I recently started watching Doctor Who, and then
The good one.
New Who or classic?
Modern.
Okay, so new Who.
But 10 I'm on right now. I'm watching David Tennant.
Best! Yes! That is
Absolute
good
love
taste. That
David
is
Tennant.
good taste.
Brilliant
That is the
documentary.
highlight.
Really good.
So that's one of my distraction techniques is TV. I'm what is called a TV show whore. I love my TV
Yes, you
shows.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Not just the TV show whore, but film and game whore as well.
Yeah, a
See,
little bit.
Calyx, I am incredibly out of the loop with TV. I don't watch a lot of TV at all, if at all. I don't watch a lot of Netflix. I don't even
Yep.
watch anime anymore. I used to be the big anime girl, but I don't even watch that anymore. So yeah, you'll have to educate me on
Definitely.
on the good shows.
100%. We'll have a chat and we'll
Yeah.
we'll talk TV shows. I'm 100% down to talk TV shows.
You may not be well versed in games, but you'll learn
TV
in
shows
time.
is what I'm in. Yeah, 100%.
And then
But-
you've got me, who's versed in all the mediums.
We
I am
were-
the Avatar.
We were talking recently. I believe it was on one of Woofie's streams where I
yes.
was talking in chat about The Last of Us when we were playing The Last of Us. We mentioned how a different franchise would work in The Last of Us kind of setting if it was created for a game. So
Falling Skies, I believe, is what you were discussing.
Falling Skies. That is one TV show that I really want to see become a game. Because I feel it would work perfectly within the Last of Us realm of
Right, that kind of
gaming.
survivalist,
Yeah,
post-apocalyptic kind of vibe.
for sure. And
Okay.
we're going to be doing a watch party of that particular series within the Discord. So I'm looking forward to that right now. Getting into that and educating some people on a good sci-fi
Yeah.
rebellion resistance TV show. It's should be good.
Actually, I have been watching a lot of movies lately, but it's not through me. So about a week ago, I was if this redacted thing wasn't going on, I would have gone to London again and met up with my the people I know, so what we've been doing instead, we've been watching films on Friday, and like a lot of other Discords have started picking it up now. So I think tonight we may be watching something. I don't know if we actually are today, but we've been doing that every week. A lot of other like communities have been doing it recently as well, and it's been a lot of fun having that kind of so you know the movie theater experience. Like the one thing I found out about the appeal of movie theaters when I went to go watch like Detective Pikachu and like the whatever else, I haven't been to a lot of movies, is that I realized that when you're in a movie theater, it's a lot of fun sharing that first time experience with everyone else, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
So,
I get
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Myself and a bunch of mates went to go see Endgame and Infinity War when that
Yeah.
came out, and the experience you get through that is insane.
Yeah.
I
Because
100%
then
agree.
you leave the theater and then you start discussing, oh, what's happened here? What do you think's going to
Yeah.
happen now? You know, what are
It's
your
like,
thoughts on this?
My brain didn't realize until I actually went. I didn't understand what the appeal of like spending like 20 something on a movie ticket was all about, and I realized that it's more about the experience itself as well as the movie. Like it was a really good time. I really enjoyed it.
So, shall we move into
Zephyrs, moving to Zephyrs.
Yeah.
What have you got for us on the Retro Junction today, Zephyr?
I glossed over this very, very briefly last week, but there's a... Right, okay. So, December 1996. What were you guys doing in that year? If you were
1990
alive.
Did you say 1996?
Yes. Who was alive in 1996?
Do you want my honest answer? Do you
Yes.
want my honest answer? I was
Yes.
but a sperm in my dad's ballsack.
There we go.
Okay, I am officially the stream grandma. Officially the stream grandma.
You're not that
So-
much older than me, come on.
The whole purpose of Retro Junction is because as each year goes by, games get forgotten. And now we're at this stage where you get new generations of people, say Woofie, and there's games that come out before their time, and they may be pretty good. So I want to talk about a series of games. There's quite a lot to say about this game. I'll try and keep it as brief as I can. But have you ever heard of Dark Eye?
Dark Eye, as
The
in...
Dark Eye as a
Eye
series.
as in... Like, eye as in eye, or eye as in the seeing eye?
The Dark Eye as a series. So the Dark Eye series, or Das Schwarze Auge, which I butchered probably, is a German pen and paper series. It is it's more popular than Dungeons and Dragons in Germany. It still is more popular than Dungeons and Dragons in Germany. And the very first actual computer games they decided to make was a trilogy called the Dark Eye Trilogy. There were 3 games. There was Blade of Destiny, there was Star Trail, and there was Shadows over Reaver. I'm gonna be very brief about the first 2 games. They're pretty cool games that you can migrate your characters from one. It's like an RPG. You may migrate your characters from like one game to the next to the next.
Is that
Yep.
similar to, like, Baldur's Gate? What was the game you were playing a while back where you could merge characters across games?
Baldur's Gate, yeah. So
Okay,
you
it
can
was Baldur's
migrate
Gate.
your party you started in the very first game all the way into the last game, and it's a pretty entertaining time. So the differences between the Dark Eye pen and paper and Dungeons and Dragons is there's like a lot more stats. Like there's stats for your character's physical appearance, there's stats for your character's like ability to dance, there's stats for your character's ability to cheat, there's stats for your character's ability to be able to navigate forests and things like that. Basically there's a massive stat bloat, and it's very hard to get into.
So
But once
stats
you...
for the pedantic, then.
Yeah. It's like stats on steroids. There's too many stats.
Hell
But
yeah.
it is a hella fun game because when you generate your character, you get to actually see all these other things you wouldn't normally see in an RPG. So like in D&D, you would just see, a couple of feats that they're good at. You'd see a couple of like their strength and everything. Your strength, charisma, wisdom, all that kind of thing. But in the old Dark Eye pen and paper, you get to see everything. Pretty much everything when you generate a character, and it's an interesting experience that not a lot of people have heard of, and it's kind of daunting, but at the same time it's not.
Yeah.
So yeah, you make your own party. There's a party of 6. The soundtrack for the game is pretty good. I thought I'd better mention that. Yeah. So you make your own party, and they go on adventures and shit, and it's great. It is really, really great. It has this weird, like, creepy undertone to it that I've always liked, and it terrified me when I was really young, but hey, yeah. But the reason why it didn't really take off was because it was, European, I believe.
Because it was European.
Just because it was European.
Yeah,
That's what we're going
German.
with?
Yeah.
I mean, fair. And back when it was released, the internet wasn't as big of a thing it is now, so pushing those kind of cult things would be harder.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can give a rundown of the basic story since, like, many people aren't ever going to play this game.
Please
But-
do. I'm actually really interested in this.
Okay, so the story is... It is basically like People going tinfoil hat and getting, like, freaky because everyone's being mind-controlled. So, the story unfolds where everyone is acting really weird, and you don't know why. And it turns out people are starting to be mind-controlled by worms for some reason. So, there's this wizard in a tower, and he's like turning dogs into like wolfmen monster things, and it's messed up. But it turns out he's being controlled by a worm.
I was gonna say, why does this sound like a weird amalgamation of like Slither by James Gunn and what was it, Full Metal Alchemist?
Yeah. Yeah, there's some stuff going there that does remind me of FMA. But yeah, it turns out he's being controlled by a worm, and then everyone in town starts acting weird, and you find out that people being murdered is because there's these people being controlled by worms. And as it would turn out, the final boss of the game is a giant worm ant queen that's trying to control everyone. She was made by this evil wizard. And even though she lives in a tiny, like, anthill thing, no one can get in this anthill. So they shrink your party down to go into the anthill. They go in with absolutely nothing. They're naked, by the way. And you have to go beat the worm queen to death with sticks. It's a fun time.
Wait, I've seen you play this.
I have played it.
I have seen you play this. That was
I
so
have.
weird.
It was a weird game. I love it.
It was brilliant. I was like, what? Huh? I'm on board with this, but what?
So, one of the other things about the game is it's very mechanic heavy. In terms of, like, taking care of your characters. They can get sick, they get hungry, they get thirsty, they can permanently die if you're not careful.
Permadeath.
Yeah, there's permadeath. If your character dies permanently, you can either reload, or you have to go back to the temple and make a new character. They're dead forever, pretty much. You can't resurrect in this game. So, you have to take care of them. But other than that, it's quite an interesting experience. In terms of, like, the combat is very kind of slow and clunky. However, the way you can finish fights is a lot of fun. Like, there's so many different spells you can use. One of my playthroughs I ended every fight by making the enemies dance so they couldn't fight back, and the combat just ended. It was a good time. I had a druid, and all his stats rolls were really crap, and I was having trouble trying to find something that made him good. Then I found that he had the spell Dance, and it was quite high in stats, so I was using it. I used it on a golem.
Dance battle, bro! Come on!
I just made everything. I made an entire group of orcs rave, and it ended the fight. It was amazing. Such a good time. But yeah.
Sounds beautiful.
There is a little video in the Discord. There's like little conversations and stuff you can bring up in the game.
Yeah, should we play
that part of the game is quite interesting. I mean, I'll let you watch it and get your own assessment of it, but basically you're raiding the castle because the town tried to arrest you because of some murder, but they're being controlled by worms. And while you're in there, you encounter a cook. But the cook, he's been flinging with another cook, and he has dresses in his drawer. He's been wearing those dresses, by the way.
Right, okay. So
you basically, like, threaten him to tell him what you know, because you're like, look guys.
Let's play the video.
What do you want? I'll call the guards.
Tell us what you know about Bosper and the urns.
Bosper? I know nothing.
Oh, well, maybe we should ask you about those dresses under your bed.
You're right. Bosper and I used to be lovers. But everything changed just a while back. He refuses to see me now. A few days ago only. I came into his chambers as he was moving a chest. He gave me a terrible thrashing. He's been a totally different person. I'm certain he's found someone else. Please don't tell anybody about this. I won't mention seeing you to the guards either. Honest, I won't.
You basically get from A to B with his help.
With only his help.
Yeah. So the funny thing I'll mention is the voice actor changes depending on who's your lead party member. So that person talking, the male voice talking, it would be female if the first person in your party was a female.
Right, okay.
That's really cool, actually, especially for 1996.
But yeah, that's Shadows over Reaver. It is a fantastic game, very hard, but I wanted to share it because no one's heard of it.
It's an
And that's
interesting...
basically the point of Retro Junction. Like, you know about you know your Dooms, you know your old games, but
You Duke Nukem's.
there's
Duke
old
Nukems.
games that are so obscure that like no one they've just been forgotten. So there you go.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you, Zephyr.
Heck yeah. So that leads
Nice.
off to
On to our next lot of news articles. So, first one, bit of a downer, but the voice actress for Tifa in the Final Fantasy VII Remake, yes, it's reared its head again, has gotten death threats.
And
just
I should
threats in
actually
general.
clarify in this article that it's the Japanese voice actor, not the English voice actor. So, the English voice actor's fine, it's the Japanese voice
yeah,
actor.
it's
that
Thank
is
you for
not
clarifying
fine.
that.
Okay.
I would have forgotten to do so. But yeah, she got a threat from a woman in her 20s saying... hang on, sorry. The news site that actually reported on this says that a woman in her 20s sent threats to the actress's talent agency saying, "I hate the actress so much, I want to kill her, and I'm going to stab her in the back of the hand with all my might."
This
This was in... Yeah, this was in... this was referencing... in relation... I can't words at the moment, I apologise. This was in relation to a thing she was doing in live action, because she also does acting in film and television. That same month, though, a man in his 30s sent threats to a game company saying that he wanted the actress recast, and that she wants... No, sorry. Hang on, where is this? I'm reading this from the article. Oh yes, she wants to make me stab her... No, she makes me want to stab her in the eyes and gouge them out with a knife. That is from a man in his 30s.
That is not
I apologise
how
for
anyone.
reading that.
That
Yeah,
is-
so poorly.
That is not how anyone should speak to another human being.
There's always... I hate knowing this, but there's always someone out there that hates you. And
Yeah.
ugh. There's always that one person out there that wants to stab you, and I hate knowing that. And
Yeah.
especially when you're more famous and prevalent, that kind of like echo chamber becomes much, much louder.
Not only
And
that,
I hate it.
the intensity, the higher up the franchise is in the pop culture sphere, the more hate you're going to get.
Yeah.
As an
it's-
example, the actress of Rose in The Last Jedi, Episode 8 of Star Wars, she literally left social media because she was constantly getting death threats daily.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's disgusting.
That just
It's
shows that this is not a uncommon thing to happen.
yeah, it's I'm not into it. I was never really into it to begin with, but the whole soap opera thing with like actors and stuff, they get a lot of shit for even if they're playing the good guy character, they get a lot of shit.
Yep.
Because people can't distinguish between reality and like fantasy, and then they just treat them like shit, and it's not cool. Be good to each other, guys.
Yes, I
Yeah.
100% agree with that.
I mean, to an extent, cancel culture is a modern version of that "I hate you" death threat situation.
Cancel culture is a thing that we've kind of been aware of for a long time, but it's not really got a name. It hadn't really got a proper name till recently, and it's just such an incredibly toxic concept.
Yeah.
It's just not common decency, and that's something that seems to be lacking nowadays. Is people don't understand that the people that you are throwing these threats to or degrading in some manner are working their little asses off to provide you with entertainment. The entertainment realm is so big and so demanding for these personalities that are actually going out and doing the acting or voice acting or something within that realm to give you at home in your nice cushy life a little bit of entertainment to distract you from how bad the world can actually be.
And what do they do to thank them?
It's not okay.
I don't like you or your face. I want
Yeah.
you recast. I want you to die.
It's not okay to bounce back these threats to these people when they are actually doing you a service overall. They're just trying to help make your life a little bit better in the day-to-day. You should respect that. Do you get what I mean?
Try to be nice. Yeah. People should try to be nicer, as opposed to just being outright dicks. You know?
Yeah, that's very true.
I mean, there's nothing really much else to say on the article, is there?
Not necessarily.
Don't be twats.
Don't be twats.
Be nice.
It's quite simple, yeah. I think we should move away from that topic.
Moving
before
on.
It gets too heated.
Yeah, moving right the hell on. We have some Xbox news. Two articles. Again, both pertaining to Xbox, if you didn't already get that. We have had the leak of the new Xbox Series X logo, apparently. Through after a trademark.
Logo!
And we have rumours that there is a smaller, more affordable Xbox Series X on the way that people have dubbed Xbox Series S. The S standing for a small, I'm assuming.
It's interesting, yeah.
It's a small boy.
He is a tiny boy. In a mock-up made by a fan. It basically looks like a GameCube.
It does.
In
It looks
this
like a
mock-up.
white
I'm
version
always
of
an
GameCube.
I'm always an advocate for smaller, more affordable consoles as an entry level point
Same.
to yes.
I believe an entry level should be a thing, but if it comes out, then it means that this smaller model that is being talked about at the moment.
Yeah. Like, you can jape on it as much as you want, but I thought the 2DS was a good idea.
I liked it in the new 2DS, the one where you could actually close it. The original 2DS, you just couldn't close, and it was just really awkward and janky.
Yes.
I wasn't a big fan of that.
It's a new iteration, which is quite helpful to be a little bit nicer to the consumer, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the rumors around it are saying that it's going to be digital only. Similar, wasn't there a digital only Xbox One?
Yes,
as well?
Xbox One All Digital Edition.
Yeah, so that it wouldn't make sense for them to release a digital only version of their newer console to continue pushing that idea that cloud gaming is the future. You don't need physical media to enjoy games.
For sure, 100%.
Yeah.
It makes sense
Absolutely.
from a Microsoft point of view. for them to do
I should comment that the code name for this is apparently Lockhart.
Yes, this
So
is apparently
do with that what you will.
what the famous
I-
Lockhart was.
I'm
Oh,
going to
man.
continue it with the Final Fantasy theme that we've got going.
I'm
With
a
Tifa.
grandma. I don't mean to go off tangent again, but I'm a grandma, and I remember the code name for the original Nintendo Wii. It was called the Nintendo Revolution.
Dude, Revolution
you
was
go.
so much better.
I know. Better
lo-
than Wii.
And the logo had like both the discs, and one of them was smaller to signify that the GameCube was compatible on this.
Yeah.
Like, I
Oh,
liked
yeah.
that. It was a neat name. Like, code names are so much better than the actual names we get. Like, the PlayStation Pro, PS4 Pro, for example. That was Neo. Imagine playing the PlayStation Neo.
Yeah.
That's great. The PlayStation VR. That was Morpheus or Mobius, one of the two. Just, You know, Xbox, taking it back to Xbox, they had Scorpio for
Yeah.
their Xbox, what was it, Xbox One X? What's the biggest
Yes.
version of the Xbox? It is
Xbox
the
One
X?
X is the biggest
Okay, I'm
version
very
of that.
confused because of the whole series naming convention.
Yeah,
Oh, the
Series
naming
X
conventions for
came-
consoles is...
Series X came directly from Xbox One X.
I'm fairly certain the code name for the original Xbox was Xenon.
I believe it was Xenon.
Hang on. I'm actually going to look up a list of code names quickly. Talk amongst yourselves while I'm doing this.
The
PlayStation
thing-
4 was Orbis.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry, you continue while I try and handpick some nice ones.
Yeah. Okay. So we are going to touch on this a little bit more in depth next week. But one thing I will say with this particular set of stories coming out, it's interesting that the Xbox side of things have been ramping up coming into April. We seem to be hearing a lot more. Looking at the logo, it looks relatively basic.
It's very
In-
clean, but it does fit with Xbox's movement towards a more minimalist design.
Yeah,
So going from the original it was green and black. Xbox 360 was the white and green with the gradient going around. Xbox One was just a plain white logo or black logo depending on the branding.
yeah,
And now this one has just a stylized X with series running down the left-hand side.
yeah. I was just about to comment on the actual visual of the logo as well. It's interesting. It's an interesting way to do it, to have series
Yeah.
running up the left and having the X kind of like crossed out.
Yeah, I like it as a logo.
It is
It's
very
simple.
Yeah, just to comment on a few more code names. Dolphin was GameCube.
Yep.
One of the more prolific ones in recent memory, the NX, which is the Switch.
clean. Yep.
We have, what was it? Nitro, which was the Nintendo DS. And
Nitro.
Project Natal.
Nice name.
Here we go. Project Natal. What was that? What did that become?
I couldn't even begin to speculate.
It was the Kinect.
Wow. Okay. Remember when Kinect existed?
Remember when people cared about Kinect? Oh,
Remember-
wait.
Remember when that happened? That whole fiasco?
Oh, yeah,
It's-
that was phenomenal.
It's not there anymore.
No, and it was meant to be, you know, fully embedded into Xbox Ones. What happened to that?
Yeah, let's just say that Microsoft made mistakes last generation, but that's next week. That's the topic for next week.
We'll talk about the whole console war and everything regarding that next week.
Without trying to step on toes.
Toes are going to be stepped on. We just got to be civil about it.
Oh yeah.
Cow.
Gotta
stamp
gotta
right on your toe.
How
Smash.
dare you? So yeah, that, unless there's another topics anyone wants to bring up, was the show.
Yes. Actually, before we go forwards, I just want to bring up something else that's popped up on my radar. Since we've started this podcast, actually, I haven't looked at this news story, but it seems that Nintendo has confirmed that they have network ID hacking going on.
Really? I'm going to read this quickly.
That's interesting. I don't really use my Nintendo network
So
ID for anything.
Nintendo seems to have confirmed the possibility that as many as 160,000 Nintendo accounts were breached in a hack earlier this month. So if you have a Nintendo Switch, go and change your stuff. Go change passwords. Go get two-factor authentications.
Yeah, two-step verification. That is what Nintendo's saying. They're just saying, hey, enable this now while we're trying to sort out everything else.
Definitely. Go secure your Nintendo network IDs with new and fantastical secure passwords, and make sure you turn on that two-factor authentication. It will save you a bunch of money, because it seems that there were recent reports of people's accounts being breached and being charged from. So that is my end of show warning to you guys. Go secure your Nintendo.
If it were.
Nintendo's been putting too much money into lawyers and not enough into their own security.
Or they're online for that matter, but that's for next week.
That's for another topic, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
And that's the
so
show.
yeah, let's wind this shindig down. Zephyr, where can people find you, my dear?
You can find me on was it @ZephyrSword on Twitter, or you can find me on YouTube, which is Zephyr Pendragon. I'm not super pro on there. I'm just super casual. If you want super pro hashtag not actually super pro, you can go to my Twitch. You can follow me there, and that is twitch.tv/HeroicZephyr. I play JRPGs and I sometimes make games. Speaking of games, I have a game on Steam called Men of Revelations Ring Spirits. It's free, so
go check
hell
that
yeah.
shit out. Cal, where can people find you?
People can find me within the community server, which is the Omnicadia Discord linked to this podcast, or you can find me solo on my own on twitch.tv/Calix, not with a 1, not with an L, but with a 1. It's got a 1 in it, not an L. So
Thank you for
that is
clarifying
my URL.
And Twitter?
Twitter, you can find me at LamaCarlS for my own, or at Calix for a super secret one. But yes, that's my links.
Fantastic. And you can find me, WoofieIsMe, at WoofieIsMe on Twitter and on Twitch. And if you look up WoofieIsMe on YouTube, you'll more than likely find my channel.
Yeah,
so,
very likely.
yeah.
And let's start rolling it down then. So next week's podcast will be a little bit different in format. We're going to pre-record for next week's. We're going to be talking about console wars and the like, recent events. We're going to reflect on the previous generation and speculate on the next generation. So that is what we're coming up for next time. Do come and join us within the Discord server, and come say hi, come get involved with the community. Hopefully we can talk some gaming and that sort of stuff. And we will have a couple of guests for you for next week. We're still confirming, but we should have one or two guests pop in and come and say hi for that podcast. So for now, I believe we're all wrapped up unless anyone else here would like to say anything.
No, I'm good.
No, we
Okay,
good.
So thank you to everyone joining for the stream.
Much
on
love.
Twitch, and thank you very much for all of you tuning in on the audio versions. We will catch you same time, 2 p.m. BST, next week on Friday for another OmniTV podcast. Thank you very much.
Bye.
See you guys.
Bye. See you.
The next podcast will take place on the 8th of May at 2 p.m. BST at twitch.tv/Omnicadia. This has been an Omnicadia production.